sister-in-law, Jessica Howard, and she's with her colleague Jackson Sleeper, and they are with the Army National Guard recruiters, and they're on campus talking to our LPC today.
Awesome, welcome. Other guests?
We have with us our speaker, Jose Vera, and Maya Vera.
Great, welcome. All right. Good news. We'll start with good news. Anybody have good news to share?
Okay.
Yes.
We just got back from Arizona, and it was awesome. We saw the Grand Canyon. Never been there before.
Cool.
Of course, it's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. I would recommend it. But when we left, it was like 74 degrees, and when we got here, it was like 15 below. So if I'm doing my math right, that's like an 89-degree swing. So happy to be back. That's worth $3.
You couldn't have brought a little of that with you next week. It'll be warm. Any other good news? Yeah.
I've got tickets for the Wine with Will. That is going to be a week from this Friday night at the Main Street Inn. We're one of the sponsors. So we're going to have wine, we're going to have hors d'oeuvres, we're going to have a silent and a very noisy auction that is going to be led by Jim Peterson. So anybody that needs a ticket, come see me after the meal.
Awesome.
Has Ted Munster got his tickets yet?
I'm still waiting for the drawing.
Okay. Announcements? Anybody have announcements? Kevin, you want to come do your thing?
Now you know the announcement is going to be bad when you need a PowerPoint to share it.
Where do I plug it in here?
Yeah.
That's not the right one. So that's not the right. This PC. Maybe it's not plugged in all the way. Sorry guys, give me a second. I'll figure this out. It wasn't in all the way. There we go. All right. Don't look at the title. It says dues increase. So here's the deal. As you know, I'm our interim treasurer. So just let you know, this job will be open to anybody that wants it starting July 1st, okay? Really, just don't crowd me, one at a time after the class if you're interested in this job. Here is, so looking at our dollars, things have crept up on us. You know how expenses creep up on you and then every now and then you have to have a whoa Nelly moment. Well, this is kind of our whoa Nelly moment. These are our standard annual expenses. Rotary International dues, $96.50 a person per year. 5610, Rotary 5610 district is $3,300. I used a number of 66 members, which is I think a nominal number. And club runner is $10 a month per person. So VCDC membership is $400. Now we are a member of VCDC, and we do it every year. And we also have that's only $200. We have a $200 ad in the visitor's guide. So we pay $400 to VCDC every year. And then we have a PO box. We pay an accountant. We buy stamps and envelopes. We spend, in order to maintain this organization, not counting lunches, $11,000 a year. And we collect $9,240 a year. That's your $35 per quarter on your invoice. We are short $2,520 a year nominally from our standard expenses versus our $35 per quarter per person. Yes, ma'am.
Would you want to maybe explain to everybody what Club Runner is, what it does for us?
Well, no, I'll let somebody else do that. Who wants to explain what Club Runner is? Yeah, go ahead.
Club Runner is all of our communications. So it's our website, it's our email system, It's the app which they're encouraging you all to download and use. But
Yeah.
it's how we organize everything. You can also use it to set up a bunch of information about the club, which is pulled into Rotary International.
It's where we put our goals, it's how we communicate with Rotary International and Rotary District, everything.
Grants.
You can apply for grants, it's their internal communication system. Yeah, it's a necessary evil. And so where does the $2,520 come from? Well, it comes from the other money, our pocket money or table money we put here. It comes from our dues. It comes from our philanthropic dollars, and it should not. So I proposed to the board $2,500 a month divided by 66 members is $38 more per member per year. So I divided that by 4 and rounded up to $10 per quarter. So I recommended a $10. I do not want to increase anybody's dues. As you know, I've fought to keep our cost of membership down as low as possible. That's why we don't have table service anymore. That's why we don't have, dessert, to keep our cost of meals down. But this is an unavoidable, crept up increase in our expenses that we are not covering with our dues. So I recommend to the board a $10 per quarter increase in our dues. And our dues, just the $35, I recommend a $45, just covers the expense of having a Rotary Club and supporting the international charities. These, let me just remind you, the 5610 dues and the Rotary International dues, that's how we're ending polio. That's how we're digging wells in Africa. That's not wasted money. That's money that is going to support charities around the world. That's our service above self. A lot of our service is financial. And that's the $9,700 a year that we send to Rotary District and to Rotary International supports national, district, and international philanthropic goals that make Rotary the force that it is across the globe. I'm just saying that when you add that up, I'm asking for a $10 a quarter increase in our dues. So the money we give for philanthropy is sequestered over here and goes to philanthropy and does not go to pay for the website or stamps or the accountant or the P.O. box. The money you give for philanthropy is sacred and should not be used for those things. So that's the good news. That's the news. So I requested that last meeting, and they did vote to increase our dues by $10 a quarter. I'm sorry, that is what Rotary costs now. Crept up on us. Okay. So now the position of treasurer will be opened a little earlier. Okay, thank you. So you'll be seeing that on your next invoices. I'm sorry, but that is the world we live in today.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody want to follow that up with other announcements? All right, so I understand our Sergeant at Arms, Patrick Morrison, isn't here today, so I think, Deb, are we going to do 2 truths and a lie?
We are.
Okay.
We are. So, and I'm not going to make my way up there and listen to that painful spattering of applause. So
Let's do it anyway, though.
Okay, I'm going to stay right there. Good thing I have a big, loud voice. All right. So, this is 2 truths and a lie about individual members in this group. And some of you have not gotten me this information, so I'm going to keep nagging you for it. It's just kind of fun, to get to know people in the room by doing a fun little exercise like this. So, whether you get it right or wrong, I guess just out of the goodness of your heart, if you want to throw in 50 cents, $1, $2 into the red bucket, please feel free to do that. Okay, we're going to start with Mark. Yeah. All right. Here are the 3 things Mark has to say about himself. We need to determine which one is the lie. Okay. He bungee jumped off of a 250-foot bridge. That's number 1. He whitewater rafted Class 5 rapids on the River of No Return. Where is that at?
Disneyland.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's number 2.
Okay, all right.
Where?
Salmon River, Idaho.
Oh, okay. And then he cliff dove off of a 75-foot cliff into the Salmon River. So, wow, kind of daredevil there, Mark. Which one of these do we think is not true? Bungee jumping off of a 250-foot bridge, whitewater rafting in Class 5 rapids, or cliff diving off a 75-foot cliff? Which one of those things is not true? Two of them are.
Bungee jumping.
But you did whitewater rafting. I'm very impressed.
This is doggy push, it's not diving.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, how many of you got that right? Double. Yeah, I love you too.
Okay. Our next one comes from Scott Wagner. I don't know how many of you know Scott very well, but you're going to learn a little bit about him now. All right. His first thing is, he is an only child. Don't know if that's true or false, right? He has his pilot's license. And he's won numerous state and national champion clay target trap shooting titles. Which two of those things are true and one is not true? Anyone want to venture a guess which one's not true?
Only child.
You think it's an only child?
What was the second one again?
The second one, he has his pilot's license.
Is that a pilot or a pirate?
Pilot, yes. All right. Everybody has their what they think it is. Scott, you want to tell which one is not true?
I cannot fly an airplane.
So no pilot's license. He is an only child and a master trap shooter, right?
Yes.
Okay, and our last one comes from our dear, very dear Captain Chandler. Okay, so
We made them all three. We did it for you, Kathy. We didn't do this, we did it for you.
which of these three things is not true about Kathy? She makes stained glass art. She is a world-ranked pinball player. Or she's a master gardener. Two of those things are true, one is not. Make stained glass.
Those are yours.
Oh, God, yes, they are. I'm so sorry.
That's gonna cost you now.
The email came from Kathy. I apologize. This is about Jesse Hansen, okay? Our very dear Jesse Hansen. Yeah. All right, okay, everybody kind of rewind. What's true about Jessie? She makes stained glass art. She is a world-ranked pinball player. She's a master gardener. Which one of those things is
How big is your Elton John album?
I'm picturing Kathy at the pinball machine.
Okay.
I'm from pinball.
Me too.
You think that's a lie?
I think that's why.
Okay. Jessie?
I am not a master gardener yet.
So she is.
So tell us about
a
pinball.
player.
Okay, my friend from college lives in Australia. She's very into the pinball world. She came back to visit, and Boss's Pizza Chicken in Sioux Falls has a pinball room. Well, they had a tournament when she was back visiting, and she does play international circuit, and so she wanted us to all go to this. And when we did, we were all signed up to be internationally ranked pinball players. So I have 47,000 out of 51,000.
Maybe we need like a rotary pinball competition. Get a machine in here, like I can see it happening. All right, so our speaker today is Jose Lira. He's a new member of the Vermillion community, and he's the host of Vermillion Unplugged podcast. So welcome. And I think
All right. Does it work? All right, so this is the first time I do something like this. I was thinking before, I was like, man, how am I gonna do it? Be like professional like everyone? Or should I just be myself? So I'm like, I'm just gonna be myself, but I'm gonna try not to cuss too much, but let's get this going. So, I know a lot of y'all guys, and it's kind of cool. So my name's Jose Lira. Something that I always say on my podcast is I'm from Texas. My wife, my beautiful wife right there, she's from Mexico. So in 2020, we moved to South Dakota. It was during the COVID stuff, and I had to get a job. And I honestly don't even remember, because I applied at USD. I applied at 600 places during that time. I don't even remember applying in South Dakota. But when I got the job, I was so excited. But the first thing that came up was like, where's South Dakota? But then I found it on the map, so we started heading over there. And then this is what I did and what I do. So at USD, at the med school, I worked as a research technician at a lab. And then now I transitioned to same thing. I still work at the med school, but now more of the administration stuff. On the side, thanks to my wife, some people might know, we do like Mexican food. We started it like, I think a few years ago on the stand. Like, if you guys seen us in downtown, we'll do that, or we're at the flower farm. We've been doing some stuff at the brewery. Just bringing some like authentic Mexican food. And then the other thing I guess now I do is I do a podcast called Vermillion Unplugged. So, but before that, when I got here, so I'm from a city. Coming to a small town was very, very different. But I actually like it. Now I do. Before I was one of the first ones complaining. I would be the one saying, hey, where's that Taco Bell at? Where's Target? But I actually do like the city, or the small town. It's great, like especially since I have a daughter. You guys might know her, Victoria. It's great for families. But something that I always wondered, because I accepted it. I was like, okay, it's a small town. It's great. Then I saw Sioux City. I saw Sioux Falls. And then something that surprised me was when I went to Brookings, because I was like, oh, I thought Brookings was a little bit bigger, just double the size. And it was way bigger than I thought. So I always questioned, I was like, well, why is Vermillion so small? So that got me going. So I started, some people, you guys might see me, I started just checking around. I started asking people that, hey, why is it small? Where's the bigger businesses, or what's going on, or this and that. I started paying attention to like, oh, maybe it's like, it could be the city stuff with the city council. So I started heading there, or there's something with Clay County, or it's just entrepreneurs, this and that. So I started paying more attention about it. But then one thing that got me started is, if you guys know Carson Merkwan from the Main Street Inn, great guy, amazing. He's the one that gave me the idea, because I started just talking to people, and he said, why don't you, at first he was like, why don't you start a podcast? And I was like, a podcast? I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And then I was thinking, I was like, well, what would it be? And at first I was thinking, oh, well, I was digging deep into Vermillion. Maybe I could find like news stuff. But I was like, nah, I don't want to do the news. That sounds kind of boring. I always ask questions, and I found a lot of people fascinating. So the closest person I found was, his name is Robbie Severson. So he's a pastor at Hillside. And I was like, hey, I wanted to start something. I have questions about, this time it was something about religion. I was like, hey, are you down to do it? Maybe some other people haven't. He was like, sure. So we did it, and I liked it. And then I started asking other people. There was another guy named Taylor. He's a law student. And at first, I didn't know what I was going to talk about law. But then he started talking. I found out he was like a semi-pro golfer. He's also a pilot. And then throughout the podcast, he started talking about, because I asked him, why are you doing this? He said he wanted to do law, or aviation law. And he was talking about the mental health of pilots. So that got me, it was kind of curious. Then the other person that I wanted to talk to was Jose Dominguez. And at first, and I'll be honest, at first I was kind of hesitant, because I've heard some stuff, because a lot of people were saying, oh, it's the city engineer's fault, this and that. And I was like, well, let me talk to him. I want to know what's going on. And Jose Dominguez is like I would call him a friend. He's one of the best people I've known. But throughout, because I was just going to talk about, oh, let's just talk about city stuff. And then I heard he was Puerto Rican, and then like half of the podcast was just us comparing our cultures. It was great. And then later on, during the podcast, I asked him, I said, well, do you like the city engineer stuff? And he does love it. He really likes it. He says, stuff happens, but he enjoys it a lot. And then the other person that I got was John Cole. And I've heard some things, positive and negative things, but I was like, well, let me just talk to him. I want to know. And at first it was going to be like, oh, what is it like being mayor? And I was like, no, I heard he used to be like a police officer. So we talked about it, and it was great because he was a police officer. He was a tribal police officer, so he opened up. And after that, I started talking to people, hey, did you know about that John Cole was a tribal police officer and this and that? And they were like very surprised, like, oh, snap, really? Maybe he worked at my reservation or this and that. So it kind of changed their opinions on it. But most of the stuff that I want to talk about, because I don't want to talk about myself. I like talking about my guests. And I don't have all of them, but it's just something amazing that I found out, especially the people that have been talking about, they opened up, like tragedies that happened. For example, there's a person that you guys might know maybe. Her name is Mary Ouch. Years ago, her son passed away in a car accident, and she wanted to share it, and it was a great testimony. Another one, her name is Lindsay Perry. She works at USD. She was diagnosed with breast cancer a while back, if you guys know her, and she opened up. She wanted to talk about it, and I wanted people to know about it because I didn't know some of this stuff. And another person, or a couple, because they reached out, was Jenny and Jim Orr. Their daughter, Kelsey Orr, she passed away from an overdose, and they wanted to share a little bit about that story. And then just recently, I think last week, I got the news on Sunday that Jim just passed away. So heartbreaking, and I hope both of them are having, Kelsey and Jim are hanging out. And then another thing that so I like talking about stuff that people don't like talking about. Brady, he was running for Clay County, and same thing, he talked about him being a veteran and some of the stuff with PTSD. I had Julia Helwig on City Council. She talked about, Switzerland is. Betty Smith was a very popular one, and she was not afraid to talk about some of the politics stuff that, it was just us talking. It was great. And the other people that I had was, Emmanuel, Clement, Chinonso. I had people from other countries, students, and I was like, well, what's it like? Because my wife, she's from another country. She has some cultural differences. Let me talk to other people about it. So I got to talk with them, say, hey, what's it like moving from here? What's the differences? Just figuring out some stuff. And even like some of the topics that I wanted to talk about that people are kind of just nervous. If you guys know like Mike Phelan, Mark Daniels, we wanted to talk about, because I was very curious about, they're really involved with like LGBT stuff. And I was like, well, let's see what's going on. And it was great. Like you get a different perspective. And I found out like even those people that are different, you can always find similarities with each one. And some of the people that just been very open, because sometimes when I talk to people before, it was just, oh no, what do you do? What's your job? And a lot of people don't really like talking about it. So I was like, well, let's just talk about whatever you guys want. Molly Mollenkamp, she's a works for the dental hygienist stuff at USD. She doesn't like talking about her job, but we're like, well, let's just talk about, for example, what does she like talking about? She was talking about faith. I'm like, okay, that's down. Lar is a PhD student from the psychology department. He was from the Southeast Asia. He escaped as a refugee from a civil war. And he was talking about something like the cultures, and he asked me questions, and then we found out we had similar backgrounds with our dads and our grandpas and everything like that. And then the latest one I just put up was Jim Wilson. He's a new pastor. And it was great. We were just opening up, and we started diving into like our past. And then this is what I say. I talk to like the big dogs, because for me, this is how I see like even y'all versus me. I see y'all up here and I'm down here, because I see people like, man, y'all guys are like either directors or entrepreneurs or professors, this and that, and I'm just a little guy right here. I don't know this stuff, But I just like asked, I'm like, hey, you down to talk? Like one of the few of them, like, you know, Bruce Kelly, you know, he's the dean. I talked to him. Another one is Amy Schweinley. She's, you know, she's also the dean, and we talked about the farmers market. Tim O'Keefe I just had with the business school. And even like President Gestring, honestly, when I asked her, I thought she was going to say no. And then she was like, yeah, that's down. And I was like, well, let's get some, you know, let's talk. Let's see how it is. What's it like being the dean? What's it like being a professor or a president, this and that? Because for me, and now everything's changed, because before, when I saw like all y'all guys, I was like, wow, I want that. I wish I had that job. I wish I was the president. But now talking and knowing this stuff, I'm like, nah, I don't want that. I'm down with the salary, but not the work. And then, but the main thing that I wanted to focus on was just the local people, because that's why I find Vermillion fascinating. Monica and Jim of, you know, Cafe Brulee Dakota Brick House. It was great. It's just, I had both of them on. They were talking like how it grew and, you know, the restaurant business. Mark Krebs is a travel agent, and then recently his wife just passed. But it was great talking about, like, you know, what's it like traveling, and you get all these tips. Leslie Garish, if you guys know from The Bean, and also, you know, her husband owns the brewery, and then she has Cow and Spoon, how it started. Michelle Maloney, you know, what's it like in real estate. Becky from Winnie Mays, you know, it's just, you talk with all these people, and you just find these, this is what I don't understand. We hear about like there's like division and stuff. Maybe there is, but when you talk to people, even if there's some stuff you guys don't agree with, you find similarities. It's for me it's strange. I've never had that. I've never expressed myself. You know, back home in Texas, I've never done that stuff. I haven't until I came up here and started just talking to people. But the thing that, because when I get people on, because look, I'm not a news interview reporter guy or a journalist. I'm not. I do this as a hobby. I just ask questions. So that I work in administration, but I don't know this stuff. It's just stuff I just learned. So when I ask people, I just say, hey, you want to be on? And I always ask. So if I ever get you guys on, I'll always ask, what are some stuff you guys do not want to talk about? Because it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be nice, fun conversations. I respect y'all. If there's something, you know, it's not live or nothing like that, I tell people, hey, you know, if there's some mistakes, tell me, I'll edit it out. I don't like editing my stuff out because I want people to see me. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. We just talk. I know a guy, I have it up there, he told me, he's like, hey, you're kind of like the Joe Rogan. It's like Jose, Joe, take out the S. But he says, it's like, you're like the Joe Rogan of Vermillion, but with less weed and drugs. I'm like, hey, maybe not. But I will tell you some of the stuff I've enjoyed so far. The networks and connections, I know a lot. I'm not going to be that guy say, hey, I know this guy that knows another person, but I kind of do. So I know a lot of people that know this person. It's been great, especially like if I need help, they're like, oh, you know, there's this person. So it's great. You get to connect with all these people. And then something I joked about a while back, because I always said this, I actually love it. I love doing it. I think it's one of the first things I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Besides getting married, I like that too. But it was great. And then I would joke saying, man, I wish I got paid. And then December Carson from Main Street Inn, he asked me, he's like, hey, you know, would you be down to do a little sponsorship? I'm like, sure. So I got that, and then I did one with also Winnie Mays did one. So I'm like, awesome, I got paid. Is it going to pay the bills? Probably not. But it's great because now I upgraded like some equipment that I got, trying to make it nicer. Stuff that I've been doing, like these short clips that I will put on YouTube Shorts or the Instagram Reels or TikTok. Like one of the popular ones with, if you guys know, Evelyn Schlenker. She was talking about on my episode at the end, like there was like a murder in Vermillion back, I think in the 40s, 50s, or 60s. So I put it in like a short clips. And yeah, that stuff kind of blows up, and it's kind of cool because I want people to know, you know, what's going on in Vermillion, the story, the people. And then the last thing that I've been trying to do, I was going to do it here, but I just didn't have enough time. I was out of town last week, and I've been talking to the VCDC. I've been talking with all of them. I want to do like a live community, like a live stream. Same thing. The idea is to have like, you know, a few hours get some people 15 minutes about, it could be organizations, same thing, the locals, fundraisers, whatever. Have them on, talk, commercial break, see what's going on in town. I've been practicing on that stuff. And have a live stream, get like the community involved. Because what I've seen is just there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of similarities. And there's some stuff that people are trying to do that they can't, and they just need to know like the right person. And that's what I want to try to do. So that's one of those ideas. So, but one of the things that I've been learning is, you know, like I said, I didn't know how to do this stuff. I started with like a little Bluetooth microphone with like on Amazon. And then luckily, like Robbie said, I could borrow the equipment. They had like some mics, and I had to figure it out. The editing, like I had to go on YouTube, and I don't know this stuff. And I'm not saying I'm an expert now, but now like you kind of got to figure it out on your own. And you know, thanks to that, I got to buy his equipment, the software, and now I know how to use all that stuff. And then Vermillion has, and then maybe it's just me, but versus where I'm from, even though I'm from, you know, the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, I find more like a diversity, a very unique set of people here. It's kind of weird because it's like in the middle of, you know, you're in the Midwest. It's in a small town, but this is where I find the most unique branch of people. And like how I say, like these people, there's differences, but similarities. Like just talk, even like, I don't know, it could be anything. For example, it could be about politics, or maybe you don't like the color of their shoe. Just talk with them and you will find similarities with anyone. But I've been just reaching out. I just want, you know, I've been branching out. I'm trying to, like, one of them was the president of the chamber at Brookings, and we were just talking about, like, you know, how do we get to that level with them? A few weeks ago, I did my first remote one with his name is Brian Belinsky. So he's a small artist that he was traveling here. So I got that, and then hopefully next I could get Miss South Dakota. She was asking, or I asked her. She says it was neat. I think you guys had her, Julia Stanek. She reached out. I've been getting a lot of people. It's been fun. You know, I've been having a blast. But I do want to thank y'all for Mike reaching out, because like I said, I'm thinking like, no one's gonna talk to me. I'm not interesting. But it's been great. And then thanks to the Rotary Club. Funny thing, last week we were in the Dominican Republic. We were doing a little trip, and I saw we were at an orphanage, and right next to the orphanage there's a water treatment center, and it had it wasn't Vermillion, but it said the Rotary Club. I wish I took a picture of it, and I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. I didn't know, like, now I know you guys do a lot of stuff. But the last thing I always ask too, if you guys or if you guys know anyone that wants to be on, just tell me. Like, I'm down. I want to know more about y'all. But yeah, that's just me. Thank y'all. So I think this is the part where they say if you guys got questions. I'm not prepared, so I don't do this stuff. But if you guys got something, yeah.
So if you wanted to listen to your podcast, where do you go and when is it?
So I try to upload like twice a week. Try to do like Mondays, Thursdays, or Mondays and Fridays. But you can find me on Facebook, the Facebook page. That one's actually the bigger one. Especially now it's on Talk of the Town. Spotify has been growing, and I started putting the stuff on YouTube, which is it's tricky, but all that stuff, or like they say Apple Podcasts, I'll put it out there, and that's where you guys can find it. Just look up, same thing, just Vermillion Unplugged. I don't think there's any other podcast named Vermillion, so I got that going so far. But yeah. Yeah.
I remember one of your earliest people was Grace.
Yeah.
Of course, she's younger. What was your conversation like with her?
So with that one, that was more, so I remember doing that in the beginning, and so this is what I noticed. It's probably me, because in the beginning I was more like timid, and when I was looking back on it, it felt more like a news interview, because she kind of also, I wouldn't get the flow right. Now I do, but what I got from her is, because I was asking Grace about, what's it like playing basketball? For her, it's just a normal thing. Which for me, that's what I was telling her. I was like, man, I see y'all, like, for real, like when I see these people playing all these sports, I'm like, hey, this is like close to like, pro athletes, but you guys are just doing like a normal thing. And it's funny because Grace, I'm in a community group with her, and a funny thing is like, I didn't know Grace Larkins. I didn't know she played basketball. And until someone said she plays basketball, I'm like, oh yeah, she looks kind of tall. Until I found out she's like one of the star athletes. I'm like, oh snap, she's sitting right next to me every Sunday. But that's what I've known. She's really cool. She's awesome. Yes?
Have you had a chance to connect people, like maybe you interview somebody 1 week and then somebody 2 weeks later, like, hey, I have a need for X, so you like connect them?
Yes, I have. Usually, man, I'm trying to think. It also depends who, but usually if that ever happens, let me see if I can answer that question right. If they're in need of something or they know, they're like, hey, do you know this person? I'll be like, yeah, I'll try to connect them. I guess I am that guy now that's like, oh yeah, I know the guy that knows the guy that knows the guy. So I try my best, but that does happen sometimes.
Jose, if you could rewind the tape and talk to yourself in 2020, what would you tell that guy as he got out of the car in Vermillion, South Dakota?
Man, I would tell him, there's a lot of opportunities, because I swear, when we came up here, like the plan, it was just going to be 1 year and then we were like out of here. I did not know. First of all, I thought I was never going to leave my parents' house. I didn't know that. And I didn't know I was going to come to South Dakota. I didn't know I was going to live here. And now I'm like, I guess involved with, it could be either stuff in the community, with the church, or with the, our Mexican food, or bringing stuff in, or me connecting with that stuff. There's a lot of opportunity. You know what? And this is what I found out. Your plans never go as planned. And I guess, I'm just going with the flow, hopefully. All right. I think that should be it. But yeah, thank y'all guys so much.
Awesome, thank you so much. All right, 50 time.